Listen to me. You were not born average. You were not born to blend in. You were not born to meet the standard. You were born to set it. Some of you out here, you're waiting on somebody else to show you what excellence looks like. You're waiting on your coach, your boss, your parents, your teacher, somebody to give you a blueprint. But let me tell you something right now. The greatest in the world, they don't follow blueprints. They write them. You don't wake up legendary. You build legendary brick by brick. Early mornings, late nights, when nobody's watching, when you're tired, when it hurts. That's when standards are set. Now, most people live their entire lives following the standards that were set by someone else. Parents, teachers, society, the media. From a young age, we are taught to stay inside the lines, follow the rules, and do what's expected. We're handed templates, schedules, and step-by-step instructions on how to be successful. But what they don't tell you is that true greatness doesn't come from following paths that already exist. True greatness is built by those who decide they're going to be the ones to create the path. That's what it means to set the standard. Setting the standard means refusing to wait for permission. It means you stop asking, what should I do? And start declaring, this is how it's going to be done. It means looking around and realizing that nobody is coming to hand you a title or give you the keys to your future. You got to earn it. You got to take responsibility for your energy, your effort, your results. If you want to be the best, then you can't act like the rest. The world is filled with followers. People who do just enough to get by, who ask what the minimum requirement is, who settle into routines and habits without ever questioning them. But leaders, difference makers, game changers, they don't move like that. They don't look at what others are doing and copy it. They decide what excellence looks like and then go out and live it, no matter what the world thinks. When you set the standard, you become the example. You stop reacting to what the world gives you and start shaping the world for what you give to it. You stop measuring your success by other people's definition and start measuring it by your own commitment, your own growth, your own vision. And that's powerful because now you're not just performing. You're transforming. You're raising the bar not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. That most people don't set the standard because they're afraid. Afraid to stand out. Afraid to be judged. Afraid to fail. But fear is a liar. Fear will keep you average. Fear will convince you to stay quiet when your soul is screaming to be heard. If you let fear dictate your standards, you will always live beneath your potential. But the moment you decide to move through fear, to speak even when your voice shakes, to take the shot even when you might miss, that's when you start building something different. That's when you become the one others look to, not the one always looking around for cues. Setting the standard also means consistency. You can't be on fire one day and lazy the next. You don't get to call yourself elite if you only show up when you feel good. The standard you set has to live in how you carry yourself every day. It has to be in the way you wake up, the way you speak, the way you grind, the way you bounce back. Setting the standard means you hold yourself accountable even when nobody else is, even when there's no praise, no claps, no spotlight, because it's not about who's watching. It's about who you are. There will always be people around you who operate with low standards, people who settle, who quit early, who make excuses. If you don't set your own standard, you'll start adopting theirs. It's contagious. Laziness spreads, weakness spreads, average spreads, but so does greatness. So does discipline, so does focus. When you walk into a room and carry a certain level of excellence with you, people feel it. You don't even have to say a word. Your actions speak louder. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature. You change the environment. Look around your life. Who's setting the standard? In your work, your relationships, your health, your discipline, who's calling the shots? If it's not you, then you're living on somebody else's terms. And that's not how leaders move. Leaders own the standard. They create culture. They build systems. They drive change. And they never wait to be told to do it. You want to be respected? Start by respecting your own standard. Start by making your word mean something. Start by demanding more of yourself before you ever expect it from anyone else. Understand this, nobody cares about what you say you're going to do. They care about what you actually do. You can talk big all day long, but if your habits don't match your ambition, you're just making noise. Setting the standard isn't flashy. It's not about hype or talking yourself up on social media. It's about being disciplined when no one's clapping for you. It's about being relentless when nobody's watching. It's about committing to being great even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when life hits you in the mouth. This world doesn't need more people doing what's expected. It needs people who redefine what's possible. People who demand more, not just from others, but from themselves first. People who walk into the room and shift the atmosphere just by the way they carry themselves. People who raise the level of conversation, raise the level of execution, raise the level of expectation just by their presence. And that only happens when you stop waiting to be told what the standard is and decide to be the one who creates it. Success isn't built when the lights are on and the cameras are rolling. It's built in the dark. It's forged in those quiet moments when no one's clapping, no one's watching, and no one's checking in to see if you're still committed. It's in those early mornings when your alarm goes off and everything in your body is begging for 5 more minutes of sleep, but you get up anyway. It's in those late nights when the world is asleep and you're still grinding, still studying, still chasing, still pushing. That's where the difference is made. That's where everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be successful when it's convenient. Everyone wants to shine when it feels good. But the truth is, if you only put in the work when the world is watching, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it out of purpose. You're doing it for applause, for attention, for validation. And that kind of motivation doesn't last. Because the moment the applause stops, the effort stops, the moment no one's watching, the discipline fades. But the ones who are truly great, they keep going when no one sees. They're still at work when everyone else has gone home. Well, they don't need a spotlight to show up. They bring their own fire to the dark. In the dark is where champions are made. In the dark is where resilience is built. It's where character is tested. When you fail for the third time, when your name's not on the list, when your results don't match your effort, do you quit or do you grind hard? Do you fold under pressure? Or do you find another level inside yourself that you didn't know existed? That's what separates the ones who wish from the ones who win. Anybody can talk about how bad it's what you do in the shadows. When nobody is cheering for you, that shows how bad you really want it. People love the outcome. The outcome. They love the highlights, the trophies, the accolades, but they don't see the process. They don't see the nights you go without sleep, the sacrifices you make, the holidays you miss, the pain you push through. They don't see the countless reps, the failures, the frustration, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And that's fine. They don't need to see it because you're not doing it you're doing it because there's something inside of you that refuses to be average. Something inside of you that knows you were made for more. You can't microwave success. You can't shortcut greatness. You can't fake discipline. The real work isn't sexy. It isn't pretty. It's not posted on social media with perfect lighting and a caption full of motivation. The real work is gritty. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. It's relentless. And it's done in the dark behind the scenes, long before the stage ever shows up. And here's the thing. When you get comfortable doing work in the dark, you start to understand your own power. You realize that you don't need validation to keep going. You don't need applause to feel worthy. You start to show up because it's who you are, not because someone else is watching. That's when everything changes. That's when you step into a different level. Because the person who is consistent in the dark will always shine the brightest when the lights finally come on. There's no substitute for preparation. There's no shortcut to mastery, repetition, discipline, focus, day after day, even when you don't feel like it. That's the price. And the ones who pay it, they walk into the room with confidence, not arrogance, because they know they've done the work. They know they didn't skip the steps. They've earned the right to be there. Not because of luck, not because of luck, not because of talent, but because they committed when it was hard. Because they didn't just show up when it was easy. They showed up when it was invisible. They showed up when there were no cameras, no rewards, no followers, no praise. Most people give up in the dark. They lose heart. They stop believing in the vision because they don't see immediate results. But the ones who make it, they understand that the dark is a part of the process. That is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to develop you. It's where your patience is built. It's where your identity is tested. It's where your strength is refined. The dark is not your enemy. It's your training ground. So every time you feel alone, every time you feel overlooked, every time you feel like the world forgot about you, remember that's when you're being shaped the most. That's when you're building the kind of foundation that no storm can shake. That's when you're stacking the habits that will carry you when motivation runs dry. When the lights do come on, when your moment finally arrives, the ones who sat there standing in the dark will never be surprised. They'll be ready. Not because they hoped for it, but because they worked for it, because they lived it, because they earned it hour by hour, rep by rep, day by day, because they never needed a spotlight to be great. They brought greatness with them. Just enough as one of the most dangerous mindsets you can have if you're serious about being great. It's a trap that keeps people average. Sounds harmless. Just enough to get by, just enough to pass, just enough to keep the job, just enough to meet expectations. But here's the truth. Just enough doesn't change lives. Just enough doesn't build legacy. Just enough doesn't dominate, it survives. And you weren't born to survive. You were born to lead, to build, to create, to inspire, to break records, not settle for them. Doing just enough is a silent killer. It doesn't show up like laziness. It doesn't make noise like failure. It disguises itself as a good enough. And that's why so many people fall into the trap. They hit the minimum and convince themselves they're doing something special. They pat themselves on the back for doing the basics. But the basics don't separate you. The basics don't put you in rooms where the elite play. The basics don't get your name remembered when you're gone. What gets you there is going above and beyond every single day, especially when you don't feel like it. The difference between winning and losing isn't talent. It's effort. It's obsession. It's the standard you hold yourself to when nobody's keeping score. Most people give 70%, 80%, maybe 90% on a good day, and they think that's enough. Oh, but the top 1%, they don't stop at 90. They don't stop at 95. They chase the extra inch, the extra rep, the extra minute, the extra mile. They know that the margin of victory is razor thin, and in that margin, average gets destroyed. Just enough is dangerous because it makes you feel safe. It gives you a false sense of accomplishment. You check off the box, you meet the deadline, you stay within the boundaries. But deep down, you know you're capable of more. You know you got more in the tank. And the truth is, that gap between what you're doing and what you're capable of doing, that gap is where your greatness lives. That's where you need to operate every single day. Not where it's comfortable, but where it's stretching you. You have to stop operating like the goal is to meet the standard. The goal is to redefine it. The goal is to raise the bar so high that people look at what you do and start asking, how did they do it? How did they stay that focused, that disciplined, that consistent? Because you didn't settle. Because you didn't settle. Because you didn't do what was required. You did what was necessary to become elite. Look at the people who dominate in their fields. Athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders. They don't win because they did what was expected. They win because they went beyond it. They weren't content with showing up. They weren't satisfied with meeting quota. They weren't impressed by finishing early or doing more than the guy next to them. Their stand wasn't based on comparison. It was based on conviction, on the fire inside of them that said, I am not here to be average. You have to wake up every day with that hunger, not for approval, not for applause, but for mastery, for growth, for impact. You have to live like you're building something that matters, because you are. And if you're serious about that, then just enough won't cut it. That's a mindset for people who want to stay where they are. But if you want to go somewhere you've never been, you got to give something you've never given. The moment you choose to do more than what's required is the moment you begin to separate. That's when momentum starts to build. That's when the habits shift, the confidence grows, and the results compound. You start to see that greatness isn't one giant leap. It's 1,000 small decisions to go further than necessary, to do the hard thing, to push when others rest, to stay locked in when others clock out. This is not about perfection. It's about pursuit. It's about waking up and choosing every single day to give your best. Not someone else's version of best, your best. And then tomorrow, giving more. Because there's always another level. There's always another gear. And most people will never find it, not because they can't, but because they stop looking once they've done enough. You need to make a decision. Are you going to be the kind of person who just shows up? Or are you going to be the kind of person who dominates every room you walk into? Are you going to check the box, or are you going to set the pace? Are you going to live up to expectations, or are you going to shatter them? Nobody remembers the ones who did just enough. Nobody talks about the ones who hit the minimum. They remember the ones who went the extra mile, the ones who pushed boundaries, the ones who set a new standard and made it look effortless. Not because it was easy, but because they were relentless. They refused to be average. They refused to do just enough. They chose to go beyond. Pressure is not your enemy, it's your opportunity. It's the proving ground where real character shows up and true strength is revealed. Anybody can show up when it's easy. Anybody can grind when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. But when pressure shows up, when the storm hits, when you're tired, when everything is on the line and nothing is going your way, that's when you find out who you really are. That's when you discover what kind of standard you've been living by all along. The truth is, most people fold under pressure. They crumble. They start looking for a way out. They start pointing fingers, making excuses, blaming circumstances, and convincing themselves that quitting is somehow acceptable. But champions don't operate like that. High performers don't think like that. The pressure doesn't scare them. It activates them. It pulls something deeper out of them that wasn't even visible when things were smooth. They don't fear the pressure because they've trained for it. They prepare for it. They built their foundation so strong that when the pressure comes, they don't break, they rise. Pressure reveals the truth. It exposes whether your motivation is surface level or soul deep. When the goal is far away, when the work gets hard, when nobody's cheering and nobody's helping, do you still show up? Do you still give it your all? Because that's the measure of your standard. If your standard is based on comfort, you'll collapse when it gets hard. If your standard is built on convenience, it will disappear when things get messy. But if your standard is built on purpose, on discipline, on conviction, then pressure becomes fuel. It becomes a place where you level up. Most people avoid pressure because it's uncomfortable. They don't want to be pushed. They don't want to be stretched. They want everything to be easy, smooth, guaranteed. But greatness doesn't come with a guarantee. It comes with a demand for more than most are willing to give. And pressure is the price of that elevation. It's the test before the breakthrough, the struggle before the shine. You can't skip that process and expect to be excellent. There's a reason diamonds are formed under pressure. There's a reason gold is refined in fire. It's the same with you. The situations that feel the hardest, the seasons that stretch you the most, the days when you feel like giving up, those are the exact moments that are shaping you into something greater. But only if you stay in it. Only if you keep showing up when everything in you is screaming to quit. That's where you prove to yourself that your standard isn't dependent on how you feel. It's rooted in who you are. You have to be dangerous in discomfort. You have to be calm under chaos. You have to be consistent when the pressure rises, not just when the pressure is low. Because that's where leaders are born. That's where legends are made. Not in the low-stakes environments where everything is predictable, but in the heat, in the tension, in the noise, when the weight is heavy and you got to decide, am I going to run or am I going to rise? When pressure comes, most people look for an escape, but the elite lean into it. They say, give me the ball. Give me the responsibility. Put me in a position where it counts. They want the moment, not because they're arrogant, but because they're putting the work in silence. They've grinded in the dark. They've built a standard so strong that it doesn't shake when the moment gets big. It's solid. It's unshakable. It's dependable because it's been tested. And that's the thing. Your standard will always be tested. Life will put pressure on you to see if what you've been saying is real. Anybody can talk about discipline. Anybody can post about motivation. But when your back is against the wall, when your energy is low, when the deadlines are tight, when the stakes are high, that's when the real standard shows up. That's when we find out whether your hustle is hype or hard. It's not about perfection. It's not about pretending you're never stressed, never afraid, never tired. It's about deciding that no matter what's going on around you, you won't lower your standard. You won't let the pressure change your integrity. You won't let the chaos make you compromise. You hold the line. You stay locked in. You keep your promise to yourself, even when it's hard. But especially when it's hard. Pressure doesn't have to break you. It can build you if you let it. It can sharpen your focus, strengthen your resolve, stretch your capacity. But you gotta be willing to go through it. You got to embrace it instead of running from it. Most people never unlock their potential because they back away from pressure. They stop when it hurts. They retreat when things get heavy. But the ones who rise, they face it head on. They don't flinch. They don't panic. They breathe, they lock in, and they deliver. And the reason they can deliver is because they've trained for it. Their standard has been forged in moments of difficulty. It's not something they turn on when they need it. It's who they are all the time. They don't need ideal conditions to perform. They bring excellence regardless of the situation because pressure doesn't dictate their performance. Their preparation does. Their mindset does. Their standard does not. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Everybody has a dream. Everybody talks about what they want to accomplish. But the truth is, it's not what you say that determines your future. It's what you do repeatedly. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's the standard you commit to day in and day out through boredom, through resistance, through distractions, through setbacks. Your habits either build the life you want or destroy it. There's no in between. Discipline isn't just about pushing hard once in a while. It's about showing up with excellence every single day, whether you feel like it or not. It's not about being motivated. It's about being consistent. Motivation will fade. Emotion will shift. Life will throw curveballs. But discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline asks what you committed to. Discipline says, this is who I am now, and this is what I do, regardless of the circumstances. Most people wait until they feel ready. They wait for the perfect move, the right time, the ideal environment. But greatness doesn't wait. Greatness shows up before the mood arrives. Greatness moves without the permission of comfort. And the ones who build something that lasts, the ones who change the game, they understand that discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. You don't get to skip it. You don't get to wish your way across that gap. You got to grind your way across it with the repetition of small, consistent, disciplined actions. Your habits are your foundation. They determine how you respond when life gets hard. Both determine how you bounce back from failure. They determine whether you keep your word to yourself. And if your habits are weak, if they're built on convenience and not commitment, then your foundation is cracked before the storm even hit. You can't build a strong life on weak habits. You can't expect high-level outcomes from low-level routines. Look at any high performer, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, and you'll find the same truth. Their results are a reflection of their rituals. It's the reps behind the scenes that make the moment in the spotlight possible. It's the hours they spend doing the boring work, the unglamorous work, the lonely work. It's the meals they eat, the books they read, the sleep they prioritize, the distractions they cut, the disciplines they repeat. Success is not a mystery, it's a result. It's what happens when discipline becomes non-negotiable. When your standard becomes higher than your surroundings. You stop looking around to see what everyone else is doing. You stop asking, is this enough? And start asking, is this the best I can do? That shift in mindset from comparison to conviction, from survival to mastery, is what separates those who talk from those who lead. Because anyone can raise their hand and say they want it. But only a few are willing to raise their standard and build the habits that match that desire. Discipline is not punishment, it's power, it's freedom. Because when you have discipline, you're not controlled by your feeling, by your craving, by your distractions. You control your time. You control your energy. You take ownership of your life. That's what discipline gives you. It's not about being rigid. It's about being reliable. It's about building a version of you that doesn't disappear when life gets messy. People think discipline is hard, and it is. But so is being undisciplined. So is waking up tired every day because you stayed up too late scrolling. So is falling behind because you didn't plan. So is living with regret because you didn't follow through. Choose your heart. Discipline hurts now, but it saves you later. Lack of discipline feels easy now, but it costs you everything later. You have to be honest with yourself. Are your daily habits taking you closer to your vision or pulling you away from it? Are you building momentum or making excuses? Are you creating structure or hiding behind chaos? The life you want is not found in occasional bursts of energy. It's found in steady daily action. It's found in the detail. The early morning alarms, the focused hours, the consistent routines. That's where greatness lives. And the thing about discipline is that it compounds. Every time you choose to stick to your standard instead of giving in to comfort, you build confidence. You build trust in yourself. You create a track record that says, I do what I say I'm going to do. And when life hits, when stress rises, when adversity shows up, that track record becomes your strength. You don't need to fake confidence. You've earned it. If your habits are sloppy, your results will be too. If your standard is average, your life will reflect that. But when you make discipline your identity, not just something you do, but something you are, everything changes. You become dependable. You become focused. You become strong. You start to attract opportunities. Not because you're lucky, but because you're prepared. You've done the work. You've built the habits. You've held the standard. And the world begins to reflect that back to you. You don't become elite by doing what everyone else does. You don't stand out by blending in. If you want uncommon results, you have to live by an uncommon standard. That means while everyone else is sleeping, you're waking up. While they're making excuses, you're making progress. While they're waiting for the right moment, you're creating it. You have to be willing to do what they want so you can live how they can't. And that takes a mindset that refuses to be average. It takes a hunger that doesn't go away after one win or one pat on the back. It takes a relentless pursuit of more, not out of greed, but out of purpose. The truth is, most people are okay with good enough. They're okay with being comfortable, with staying inside the lines, with following the crowd. But comfort never creates growth. Comfort never pushes someone to the next level. You have to get used to being different. You have to embrace being misunderstood. You have to stop needing the approval of people who don't carry your vision. If your life looks like everyone else's, then your results will too. But if your discipline looks different, if your effort looks different, if your standard looks different, your outcome will be different. Your outcome will be. Living uncommon means being intentional about every choice. It means controlling what you consume, what you allow into your mind, who you surround yourself with, how you use your time. It means saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what matters. It means keeping your promise to yourself long after the excitement is gone. It means not just talking about what you want, but proving it in your actions. Because people talk about winning all the time, but few are willing to live like winners behind the scenes every day without applause. You have to be okay walking alone sometimes. Uncommon paths don't come with crowds. They come with silence, with discipline, with repetition. And it's in those moments when no one is watching, when the rewards aren't obvious, when the process is harder than expected, that you show who you really are. You take shortcuts, or do you stick to your principles? Do you settle, or do you push harder? The world won't always understand why you wake up early, why you train harder, why you say no to things that everyone else is chasing. But that's not their job. It's yours. And if you need everyone to agree with your vision before you move, you're not serious about the mission. Uncommon effort creates uncommon excellence. Because most of the time, no one's gonna give you a medal for it. No one's gonna recognize the extra hours, the extra sets, the extra reps, the sacrifices. But that's not why you do it. You do it because you know the work matters. You do it because you're not here to coast. You're here to conquer. Every choice you make is a vote for the life you want. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose effort over ease, every time you choose to stay locked in when others check out, you are casting a vote for greatness. You're not hoping to be successful, you're building it. Brick by brick, rip by rip, decision by decision. And that consistency over time becomes something unstoppable. The ones who rise to the top, the ones who leave a legacy, they didn't just work harder once or twice. They built systems, they built habits. They became obsessed with executing to their highest standard, regardless of whether anyone was watching. And that's what it takes. You can't do it when it's convenient. You can't show up when you feel good and disappear when you don't. That's what average people do. You want to be uncommon? You want to be uncommon? Then you show up tired. You show up frustrated. You show up discouraged. But you show up because your commitment is stronger than your circumstance. People are always looking for the secret, the hack, the shortcut. But the truth is, there's no shortcut for uncommon greatness. There's no fast track to mastery. The secret is consistency. The secret is outworking everyone around you, not because you hate them, but because you respect yourself, because you know what you're capable of, and you refuse to accept less than that. And yes, it's lonely at the top. It's supposed to be. That's why so few people get there, because the price is high. The process is long. The pressure is real. But if you're wired for it, if you got that grit in your spirit, that fire in your belly, that refusal to quit, then the uncommon life is available to you. It's not for the gifted, it's for the consistent. It's not about luck, it's about discipline. And once you decide to live that way, everything changes. People might not notice your standard at first. They might not understand your intensity, but eventually the results speak for themselves. Woo. Eventually, the outcomes become undeniable. You won't have to talk about how hard you work. Your life will reflect it. Your excellence will echo louder than your words ever could, because the uncommon standard shows up in every detail. In how you walk, how you talk, how you train, how you lead, how you live. It's who you are, not what you do when it's convenient. So now it's on you. Set the standard and never drop it. Not for comfort, not for pressure, not for applause. Own your habits, own your discipline, own your difference. Let the world adjust to the level you've chosen. And when they look back, let them know exactly how you did it. With consistency, with courage, with conviction. You didn't chase what was easy, you became what was uncommon. Because the standard wasn't what you talked about, it was what you lived every single day.